Last time we covered how the game flows, and we went through a flow chart. Today we're going to take a look at how piece connections are made. Now, why is this important? Well, one of the things I was doing when I wanted to refactor and revitalize this video series is I wanted to be able to write everything down of the potential pitfalls that I had with the original implementation. And in fact, that's the whole reason I'm doing this presentation here is I wrote all my notes in a PowerPoint spreadsheet so that I could share it with you. And the biggest issue that I had was, how are the pieces going to be connected, and how do I manage all those connection of pieces? It's actually fairly simple once you think about it, and it really comes down to a couple of different theories, and we'll get to that here right now. When the pieces are laid out, we have everything laid out in a very simple geometric two-dimensional form with a certain number of rows and a certain number of columns. Each piece will have two different positions that are very critical to the operation of the game. First one is called the physical position, and this literally is the position of the piece on the screen. In our example here, we have a physical position of 456,119. That basically means 456 pixels from the left and 119 pixels from the top. Our second position is the ordinal position, and this is the row column position of the puzzle within our array. This number never changes, and its importance is that we can use that to be able to very quickly and very easily determine which pieces this particular piece connects up to once it has finished moving. And we'll go into a little bit more detail here. So when a piece is moved, in this case, piece number 2, 1, I can use the positions of north, east, south, and west to be able to determine which particular pieces it will connect up to. So for example, once I've moved to 1, then I can say, okay, I've moved to 1, I need to check if I'm connecting up to 2, 0, and I need to check if I connect up to 3, 1 on the east, 2, 2 on the south, and 1, 1 on the west. At that point, I would use the physical positions to be able to find out if they're close enough to each other. So we use the ordinal positions to know which pieces to check, and we use the physical position to do the actual checking. One of the issues I ran into in my original version of this game was I didn't really have a very good way of doing the puzzle pieces that were not just a simple square. But then I figured out I didn't really need to. That's just where the ordinal positions come in very handy. So we use the ordinal position to know which pieces to check, the physical position to check upon them. Now, how do we do pieces that are not shaped like squares like 2, 1 is here? Well, that's where the ordinal position comes in very, very handy. By setting a hard ordinal position for each one of these particular puzzle pieces, I don't care where it's located on the board, and I don't care what shape it is. Because if the connections match up correctly, if I know that these two pieces are supposed to be, let's say, 100 pixels apart, and they're 100 pixels apart, I don't care what shape they're going to be in, they're going to match. And so I realized that when you have pieces that are not shaped like squares, you can't depend upon a physical position. You're going to have to depend upon something else, and that's where a lot of the ordinal positions will come from. And we'll really get into that once we get into the code itself. But this was one of the big problems I had with the older version of the Jigsaw puzzle game is I couldn't figure out exactly how to do the really funky looking jigsaw puzzles. But we do now, and you'll see that in later videos. So the big thing is to connect the pieces. The idea here now is that we're going to need some sort of way to be able to say, when I move this particular piece, this other piece is going to move with it. So if piece 2, 2 and piece 2, 3 connect up to each other, and then I've clicked and held on piece 2, 2, and I started dragging on my screen, piece 2, 2 and piece 2, 3 are going to have to go with each other. So we're going to need some sort of way to be able to determine how these pieces are going to know to move with each other. And I've made that very, very simple. Basically, pieces are subordinate to other pieces. So the idea here is that as I move a piece, if it determines to connect up with another piece, the moving piece becomes a child of or subordinate to the piece to which it was connected. So in this particular case here, if I had moved 3, 2, 3, 2, and it connects up with 2, 2, then it becomes a subordinate to 2, 2 or a child of 2, 2. Then if I move 2, 1 and it connects up to 2, 2, then 2, 1 also becomes a child of 2, 2. So therefore, if I then clicked on 2, 1 and started moving that one, we would have code within our system to say, what is the family tree of this particular piece? And it will report to me not only the parent, but all the siblings of it. So everybody moves at once. So no matter if I connect or I click and move the parent or any of the children, this little routine I have, which gets the family tree, will then move on them all at the same time. So basically, once I make the connection here, I also decrement the remaining pieces. Once the remaining pieces reach 1, the game is over. So for instance, in this particular visual representation here, I started off with 24 pieces. I connected 3, 2 to 2, 2, and then 2, 2, 2, 1 to 2, 2. That basically means my remaining pieces is now 22. The 24 pieces there, then 3 pieces put together, that basically makes 22. 24 minus 3 is 22, right? No, it's 24 minus 3 is 21, but remember, we got to add 1 for the 3 pieces, so that gets us back to 22. So the idea here then is that when the drag and drop happens, we get that family of pieces and move everybody all together. Now let's take a look a little deeper into how the connection scenarios actually work. And there's a bunch of different variations. We can have a single piece that is moved and dropped. And either three things could happen here. It could be no connection, or connect to another single piece, or connect to a multi-piece. And a multi-piece is a piece that is either a parent to another piece or is a child to a parent piece. The second scenario is a child or a parent piece of a multi-piece is moved and dropped. So first of all, the parent and child pieces are moved at the same time. First thing, we can have no connection with anything anywhere. We can connect up to a single piece, and that single piece can connect up to any one of those pieces within the family, or we can connect up to a multi-piece, and that single piece, that multi-piece can connect up to both single pieces and multi-pieces at the same time. So there is a plethora of different scenarios that we need to account for. For example, one scenario here would be, this is the single piece scenario. If 1, 1 got connected to 2, 2, 1, 2 if 1, 2 got connected to 2, 2, 1, 2 becomes a child of 2, 2. And we're all done there. So now 2, 2 and 1, 2 are now part of a multi-piece. What if a single piece connected to a child of the multi-piece? Well, the whole idea here is that whatever piece is moving becomes a child of whatever. So 1, 2 automatically becomes a child of 2, 2. Even though it connected to 2, 3, if 2, 3 is also a child, then it will connect up to the parent. And this will allow me to basically just have one stream and not have, a parent of this and a parent of that and a parent of that, just have all over the place. But just by having one different stream, one parent and one string of children. Same thing if I connected a single piece to a parent of the multi-piece. It just becomes a child of that parent. What if I move the child of a multi-piece to a single piece? Well, again, movement denotes a child. So 1, 2 now becomes a child of 1, 3, but 1, 2 is also already a child of 2, 2. Since 2, 2 is also moving, that means 2, 2 also becomes a child of 1, 3. And again, all this is just to try to keep the organization as simple as possible. Same thing with the parent of multi-piece to a single piece. Any piece that moves becomes a child of the piece to which it connected. What if a child of a multi-piece went to a child of a multi-piece? Again, same thing. 1, 2 and 2, 2 will now become children of 1, 3 because they're the ones that are moving. Same thing with a parent of a multi-piece to a child of a multi-piece. They all become children of 1, 3 in this case. A child of a multi-piece to a parent, same thing. And the same thing with a parent to a multi-piece to a parent of a multi-piece. Again, the same thing. The idea here is that the pieces that are moving are the pieces that become children of the piece to which it was moved to. And if the piece to which it was moved to was already a child, then the ones that are moving become a parent of that child's parent. What if a piece connects with 2 or more pieces? So for instance, if I moved 2, 2, and then I moved 1, 3, those two don't connect. But then if I moved 1, 2, it's going to connect up at the same time with both 2, 2 and 1, 3 if I got everything lined up exactly right. Well, basically the idea here is that if you do have multiple connections, all the connections are processed one at a time in a sequential order. And the order I take is the same order that you have with CSS. If you're familiar with CSS, if you were to do like a padding command, say padding 1px, 2px, 3px, 4px, for example, the first number is the north side, the second number is the east side, the third number is the south side, and the fourth number is the west side. And I'm doing the same thing here. I first take a look at the north connection, then the east connection, the south connection, and the west connection. So in this particular case, when I moved 1, 2 in, north didn't make a connection. East made a connection to 2, 2. So that was the first one I did. So 2, 2, 1, 2 became a child of 2, 2. Then I checked the south side. South side now also made a connection. So now basically 1, 2, and 2, 2 are the moving ones. So they now become a children of 1, 3. So because again, they're all moving. Although 2, 2 didn't move, once it made the connection with 1, 2, 1, 2 was still moving technically. Therefore, 2, 2 is also moving because it's part of the family. And this gets really messed up complicated once you have multiple children connecting up to multiple children connecting up to either parents or connecting up to singles all at the same time. It just gets all convoluted. But in the long run, it always comes down to whoever's moving becomes a child to whoever it was moved to. And if we connect with two different pieces at the same time, we do the north side first, then the east side, then the south side, then the west side. And if two different children within a family also connect up, we have to check for each one of those children. So in this particular case, if we were to move 1, 3 onto 2, 3, not only did 1, 3 make the connection, but 1, 1 also made a connection. So we're having to check all of these. Again, 1, 3 got checked first, then 1, 1. And when all is said and done, it's all really that whoever got moved to in the final analysis is the one who's going to be the parent of all the rest of the children. Next time, we're going to start diving into some code. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to view more videos. Click on the like button on this video and visit us at TheVirtuoid.com. Also, support us on Patreon, where you can get access to member-only videos. Links are down below. Again, thank you very much for watching, and keep on coding.